Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Host Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. Growing LGBTQ influence, a concern for the Christian Council in St. Lucia. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Friday, 4th August 2023. Details after this important message.
Hubbard's Multi-Department Mount Gay and Hubbard's Tire Bay, located at the Building Supplies Compound in Grand Anse, are reminding the motoring public that another round for licensing and inspection has begun. Just arrived are new shipments of quality furrowed and torque tires to fit all makes and models of vehicles at competitive pricing. Shop early to avoid the hassle of long lines. WhatsApp them on 473-405-5482. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
Welcome back. St. Lucia's Christian community is calling for dialogue with the government over growing concerns about the growing LGBTQI agenda in the region.
The discussion surrounding the LGBT community and its prevalence in schools and societies within the Caribbean region, according to leaders, is long overdue. Pointing to a recent incident in Jamaica where the island's refusal to grant accreditation to the spouse of an American diplomat due to their same-sex relationship, Archdeacon of the Anglican Church here in St. Lucia, Christian Glasgow, is questioning the length of diplomatic ties in the region. Archdeacon Glasgow maintains that each nation reserves its right to its standards and practices, and Jamaica, like other territories, have proven just that.
In terms of the Jamaica situation, each nation has to know what it is being directed by. Each nation, when it makes such decisions, must be able to stand by it and do not allow itself to be pressured by some other external force to change to meet their standards. And that is what we are speaking about here. What is the standard for the nation? And if we take a particular position, we have a right to do that. I think one of the former Caribbean politicians that I admire much, Morris Bishop, made the point, we are in nobody's backyard. And we are equal as a sovereign nation. When we make a decision, you ought not to be trying to force us to change it.
St. Lucia, like other small island developing states, is dependent on the more developed countries to sustain its growth and development, whether it be by trade, commerce, aid, or otherwise. With this dependability, however, come certain guidelines and adjustments that need to be made to tap into various forms of funding. The Archdeacon remains resolute in the fact that SIDS should focus on the resources at their disposal, as opposed to being dependent on other territories.
So are we going to be prepared to sell our dignity and birthright in order? Because, you see, some of the issues we raised today has been problems that we can't. Really and truly, if we are prepared to make sacrifices and look for alternatives, we find that we can deal with it. I mentioned earlier on my admiration for Cuba. And we may not have the great natural resources here as other places, but we have resources here. And the first major resource is our people. How do we help our people to rethink the dependence on others? It may call for some hard times, but that is crucial.
The Archdeacon calls for consultation with the Christian community as discussions surrounding the LGBT community here on the island continue. For the DBS News World, Jason Darius reporting.
President Irfan Ali encourages Guyanese to honor ancestors' legacy by building a free and inclusive nation. HGP's Travis Chase reports.
Emancipation Day also heralds the significant contributions of African Guyanese, which includes the development of the peasantry, the emergence of the village movement, and the pioneer role of Africans in government, education, and national life.
The president made those remarks during a virtual message broadcast on his public Facebook page. He assured that his government is committed to exactly this and more.
In this regard, I want to assure all Guyanese that my government is wholeheartedly committed to ensuring that everyone, every single Guyanese, will be part of the political, social, and economic transformation of our country. No one will be left behind.
The president promised wholeheartedly that Afro-Guyanese will share in the bounty that will flow from Guyana's transformative development.
They, along with all others, will have a significant role to play and will benefit significantly from national development and in the governance of our country.
While regurgitating his One Guyana policy, the president alluded to internal and external forces that continue to disrupt his government's agenda through the use of fear, mistrust, and divisionary tactics. He said such people are evil and selfish. The president called on Guyanese to reject these forces and expose them. President Ali hailed Emancipation Day as a historic achievement for Guyanese and requested of his people to honor it by working to create a better future for themselves and others. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News.
The chief passport officer in the Bahamas says 19 missing passports, an isolated incident, and is under active police investigation. More in this ZNS News item.
Chief Passport Officer Kingsley Smith, speaking to ZNS News Tuesday, says 19 passports going missing sometime last week was no accident.
I would say is not human error. All right. That's as much as I can say on that. That is not human error. It's intentional.
Smith said that when passport officials discovered that the empty books were missing, the matter was kept quiet initially so that inquiries could be made internally before the incident was reported to the relevant authorities. The missing books were eventually found a day later in a location away from where they were stored. While the incident is of huge concern, Smith assures that at no time was the security and integrity of clients' passports or personal information compromised.
There's no compromise of documents. It's an isolated incident where, again, blank passport books were just moved from one location to the next. Nothing personal to any citizen as to the documents or the integrity of the books. Nothing on that level was compromised.
Further, Smith notes that thanks to steady upgrades and technology improvements at the office, residents can have full confidence that there's little chance their documents would be handled unscrupulously. He says the office uses one of the most secured printing firms in the world, and the Bahamas, he notes, consistently rates high in terms of international best practices.
These books are also, there are a chip stored in the book, a microchip, that all the information is stored. So when you go to the airport, the information at the bottom will be retrieved from this chip. Once we would have noticed that those books were missing, they were immediately turned on in the system, rendering those books useless.
This incident comes amid the recent controversy involving Labor and Immigration Minister Keith Bell's handling of several work permits and granting of citizenship matters. While Mr. Smith did not respond directly to that matter, he admits that the timing of all this seems curious.
The data page is made of polycarbonate. Mm-hmm. This is where the information is stored by laser. So again, the question is, why move the books?
Mr. Smith says the matter is now under active police investigation, and once that probe is completed, the Passport Office will bring those findings to the public. For the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Corval Pfeiffer.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Isad Buchanan says sorry for the disrespectful comments against DPP, while in other quarters, calls are made for the Bar Association to discipline him.
Isad Buchanan issued the statement of apology on Twitter today, 24 hours after he resigned as chairman of the PNP's Human Rights Commission. He said, "Though I am a believer in free speech, I do recognize now more than before the importance of preserving public civility and mutual respect in how we engage with each other as a society. My comments and the use of the song reference are indeed unfortunate and for that, I unequivocally apologize. Speaking specifically to DPP Paul Llewellyn, Mr. Buchanan said he deeply regrets the comments and that he's truly sorry. The vitriolic attack on the DPP followed the latest controversy on the extension of her tenure. Mr. Buchanan went on the YouTube show referring to Ms. Llewellyn as the Beast and Senior Deputy DPP Kathy Pike as Beauty. He also made other comments that are not fit for the airwaves while quoting his client, convicted dancehall artist Vybz Kartel. But even as Mr. Buchanan apologized, the private sector organization of Jamaica, PSOJ, wants the General Legal Counsel and the Jamaica Bar Association to take punitive and/or disciplinary measures against Mr. Buchanan. In a statement Monday evening, the PSOJ strongly condemned Mr. Buchanan's behavior. It said the PSOJ vehemently denounces this venomous and misogynistic attack against the DPP, and such demeaning statements directed that the individual tasked with leading our fight against criminals are wholly unacceptable and starkly contrary to all standards of civility and respect. The PSOJ also stressed that Mr. Buchanan's action is just one of many troubling incidents in recent times that have showed the urgent need for better values, decency, integrity, unity, and respect within the Jamaican society.
Police have pinpointed at least 2 areas where drones have been taking off and fly over the prison and deliver contraband. TV6's Mark Bassant reports.
A drone dropping off contraband in an undated social media video that surfaced last week has not only provoked further conversation about national security in and around the prisons, but police intelligence sources say they have now been able to pinpoint at least 2 locations that they believe the drones are lifting off from to deliver contraband into the Aruca prison, especially the maximum security prison. Police intelligence sources say after intense investigations, they have been able to confirm that drones are lifting off from the Five Rivers area in Aruca and also the Red Hill area in Dabadi Arima. Sources say there's also a 3rd location in East Trinidad that they are also looking into. TV6 News understands that they are looking at a particular person in the Five Rivers area who they believe can assist them in this investigation. Over the last year, drones have been dropping off contraband mainly at the maximum security prison during the day and night, as confirmed by Acting Prisons Commissioner Deo Prasad Ramuta, who said this posed a major national security threat and they were doing their best to counteract this problem by employing certain techniques. Other senior prison sources said that apart from cigarettes, cell phones and Wi-Fi boxes being dropped off, there's also the risk for weapons also to be delivered in this way to prisoners that could cause further problems inside the prison. However, while the police have been able to pinpoint the areas where the drones may be lifting off from, they also pose another challenge when it comes to these drones in terms of tying them back to the owners. However, sources said due to national security concerns, they could not say more about that matter or other related security risks. Mark Bassant, TV6 News.
Kenya volunteers to lead an international security force to help stabilize Haiti. Tiana Cole of HGP Nightly News reports.
UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres on Monday welcomed Kenya's readiness to lead an international force to help Haiti's police combat gang violence and encourage other countries, particularly from Haiti's region, to join the effort. Kenya was ready to deploy 1,000 police officers to help train and assist Haiti's police restore normalcy in the country and protect strategic installations. Haiti's government last year asked for international security help. Guterres backed that request and in October proposed that 1 or more states send a rapid action force to support the Caribbean country as it struggles to combat violent gangs that have largely overrun the capital Port-au-Prince.
In the meantime, Tiana Cole reports again, a state of emergency has been declared in the capital city of Belize to bring order after an upsurge in gang violence there.
Belize has declared a state of emergency in the capital in a bid to curb the unabated gang warfare that has led to the murders of several people. Home Affairs Minister Carrie Musa told a news conference following a weekend raid by police officers during which 25 people were detained, that the decision to impose a state of emergency was made toward the end of last week, and that 3 areas have been placed on the SOE, capturing the entire expansion area. Williams confirmed that some of those detained would be charged with murder. Police in St. Martin are investigating a shooting incident which left a woman injured after she was struck in the face by a stray bullet over the weekend. According to St. Martin Police Force, several calls were received around 1:30 a.m. on July 29 about a shooting incident near an entertainment establishment in the Beacon Hill area. Upon arrival, the police patrol was informed that a fight had broken out among several male individuals. After the fight, one of the involved individuals retrieved a gun and fired several shots. An innocent female bystander was struck in the face by a stray bullet. Due to the severity of her injury, she had to be taken to the hospital for further medical treatment. Her condition is currently described as serious but stable. The suspects managed to flee the scene before the arrival of the police patrol, and no arrests have been made at this time.
The hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
I am Eddie Frederick, wishing you a restful weekend. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.